Hello everyone and welcome to 20 Minute Marketing. My name is Liam. I am currently the marketing executive at a company named Reach Interactive in Doncaster, and the company is an SMS marketing provider. Every episode that you hear in the 20 Minute Marketing podcast will have a different guest from various industries and stages in their career. Whilst each episode will cover marketing in general, there will also be different focuses and themes depending on the guest. Topics such as SEO, PPC, viral marketing, PR, branding and more. The final section of each episode is also all about graduate advice and how to stand out in the current climate. In my opinion, it can be useful to not only graduates but also employers who may be looking for new candidates. You should be able to get sort of an insight from other people about who they're employing. And I hope you enjoy season 1. I'm already in preparations for season 2 as well, with some more exciting guests lined up. If you do have any burning questions, no matter how general or specific, then feel free to send them in via the Anchor app. It actually lets you record them and send them. We can use them in future episodes. Or if you want, you can also message me on LinkedIn and I will get those questions to the future guests to see what sort of response we get. Hope you enjoy season 1. There are some great guests to listen to. Stay tuned for episode 1 coming up shortly with Liam Smith from the Yorkshire Wildlife Park. Hi everyone, welcome to 20 Minute Marketing. Hope you're having a great day and a great week, whatever you're doing this week. I'm really excited for this episode. We have got a great guest today. He's going to give us some really insightful news and share some things that I think all of us will be able to take away from this episode. So without further ado, I'll introduce him now. His name's Liam also, so hopefully it's not a little bit confusing, but hi Liam.
Hello. Nice
How are you doing
here
today?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good. Just tell us a little bit about yourself, who you're working for now, and a little bit of sort of a background of who you may have worked for previously.
Okay, no problem. As you've kind of built me up there, bigged me up, I feel a bit of pressure to, give a good episode here. But my name's Liam Smith. I work at Yorkshire Wildlife Park. I'm a digital marketing executive, which sounds a lot more impressive and important than it really is. I've been there for just over a year, actually. It's a year tomorrow since I started
Congrats.
there. Thank you very much, my anniversary. And before that, I worked in social media at Doncaster Council for about 4 years.
Okay, yep. So quite two very contrasting companies.
Yeah, just a bit. Yeah, it's gone from like tweeting about bins every day and dealing with customer complaints on Facebook about bins and potholes and stuff, and then all of a sudden you're talking about
animals,
polar bears.
Yeah, and everyone loves animals, so yeah, very contrasting.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think we'll end up talking about bins and gritters in a second.
I cannot wait. I absolutely can't wait. I love talking about bins as
as
much as I possibly can.
So that's it for the introduction. We'll see you in the main topic in just a moment or two. Thank you. All right, everyone, so time to dive into the main part of the podcast. As normal, it is only 20 minutes long, and I know we've got a lot to cover and a lot of questions that I want to ask Liam personally as well. So we'll get right started. So anyone in Doncaster might be aware that you've had some very successful tweets and social media activity over the last year or two. Mm-hmm. So for anyone that doesn't know, just sort of give us an insight of what that was and how it came about.
So I think that one of the main things you probably talk about the gritting stuff. Yeah. So this is going to be on my gravestone. I think the thing that I'm most famous for. So a couple of years ago, when I was working at the council, we had a competition to name our gritting lorries, and people had kind of done the idea a little bit before, but what we did differently, we made it completely open to a public vote. So we went out and said, literally whatever names get suggested, we'll put them to a vote, and we will actually go through with it and name it whatever's the most popular choice. So I think one of the things that other councils do, they'll ask for suggestions and then they'll discount most of them. Because,
the David Attenborough boat.
Exactly. People want it to be called Boaty McBoatface, and it ends up being the whatever it is, the RHS Sir David Attenborough. So I was quite determined not to do that. And I finally got them to agree to actually call it whatever people suggested. And it really just blew up. I think because people like to name stuff on the internet and suggest really stupid names, it really went mad. We ended up, the two gritters that won were Gritsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Anti-Slip Machine, which
Bit of a long one.
Yeah, I had to say that quite a few times. That suggestion is just absolutely ridiculous, and I loved it.
I can't believe someone could think of that on the spot. Someone must have really had to sit down and think of that one.
I think they've probably had that ready to go in the chamber for about 2 years, and then someone's finally asked. It ended up, the campaign was mad, and it ended up with 7 million impressions on Twitter in 2 days,
which is huge.
Which is mental for most. Even now at the wildlife park, that would be unbelievable.
Yeah.
But for a council, that's just unheard of, really. Yeah. But as it kind of grew and grew and grew and went more and more viral, some of the stuff that happened, I ended up getting asked to go on BBC News, and I talked about the campaign on there, and they were kind of... It's very rare for someone actually in marketing or comms to get asked to go and speak about the marketing, if that makes sense. Yeah. So the questions weren't about, were you worried about the name? It was all about, why did you do the campaign and all that kind of stuff. So that was an amazing thing. Yeah. It got on Russell Howard's Good News and
huge, huge outreach.
National The Last Leg did a bit about it. It was one of those things, the perfect combination of the right time. Yeah. There was not obviously much else in the news to talk about. Yeah. It absolutely blew up. So that was probably the biggest thing that I'm most famous for. Not that I'm famous in the slightest, but yeah.
Did you sort of have multiple ideas, or did you think that was it? Or how do you plan sort of your strategy to?
I think we just, when I sort of sat down beforehand, you get that idea every now and again where you think this has got the potential to be quite big. Didn't expect it to go as big as it did. But I place a lot of focus on, for businesses, I do it now, or particularly the council, responding to people, actually engaging with people on social media, because I think too many companies make the mistake of sending stuff out all the time and you're broadcasting to people. But when they come back with stuff, you don't actually then go the extra step and engage with it and go back and be funny. And I think that was the kind of thing that really set it apart, that when people were suggesting names, we were kind of going back with sassy replies and saying, that's a bit crap, or, just going back with some puns and stuff like that. So I was quite determined beforehand in the planning that I wasn't going to let anything really go by without us engaging with it and responding. Yeah. And when it's going viral and you're getting hundreds and hundreds of tweets, that's really hard to do. Yeah. But that's, I was up till midnight on the night that it was happening. And
I bet it didn't feel like you were up until midnight, because it's fun as well. And you're
absolutely.
Just checking all the time just to see what happens.
I mean, when your notifications are just going like that, it's such an amazing feeling to kind of see, oh my God, there's someone... The next celebrities tweeted about it and stuff. I'm a massive, Vic and Bob, the comedians from the 90s. They did Shooting Stars, and God, I feel old now, and I'm only 27. Bob Mortimer, he was tweeting about it and stuff, and he's one of my comedy icons. So when he saw it, I was like, oh my God,
that's it. Yeah.
Stuff like that happening. You're right. I didn't feel like I'd spent all night doing it. Yeah. My phone was hot by by 9 o'clock, literally burning a hole in my hand.
I think that's a good aspect of it, about even if you do go viral or you have a big hit, is to reply to everyone and keep it going as a two-way.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Communication.
I think that's what a lot of places don't do, and I don't really know why. They just kind of send stuff out and think it's job done. Yeah. But if people come back to you, that can be some of the best stuff sometimes. People will take it in another direction that you weren't expecting it to go in. Yeah. And I think one of the other things that I did that is probably one of the other stuff I'm most proud of is I did a campaign called Bin Invasion, which it was when do you live in Doncaster?
I'm from Rotherham, so close by. But
so you won't know about our lovely blue bins necessarily, but we've got a couple of years ago we introduced new blue recycling bins, and I was having to promote the fact that they were coming out and people should watch out for them, and that's a really boring thing to have to talk about. Yeah. We ended up making it a sort of a Doctor Who style, the bins were actually invading Doncaster, and I didn't really expect that to go very big, but it was because people were sending us photos of their bins, oh my God, my house has been invaded, send help and all this sort of stuff. And people were making their bins look like Daleks and putting plungers and whisks and stuff on them to make them look like evil robots and stuff. And that was the best kind of stuff that we got from the whole campaign. So again, I think a lot of places would kind of, the first tweet that comes in like that would just go, oh, that's funny, but not really do much with it.
Yeah.
But we put those people like central to the campaign, which is something I'm quite proud of as well.
Yeah, I think definitely. You essentially, they're doing the work for you as well. Like, you get to sit back and look at all of these cool images and like creative people.
Yeah.
I did see last week or maybe the week before you had the April Fools at the Wildlife as well.
Yeah. That was really fun to put together. So we just did a video because they're a really good team at the Wildlife Park. Yeah. And a guy that I work with called Andy, he's brilliant at making videos and stuff and coming up with all these like creative ideas and that. And they've done like some really good April Fool's Day things over the years. So it was a bit of a struggle. I think the whole April Fool's Day thing, it's obviously, there is a fly.
Yeah, there is a fly flying around
in our faces. I don't stink that much. They've done some really good things, and I think the April Fool's Day thing for companies, it is a little bit sort of been there, done that, and it's getting a bit crap at times now.
Yeah, unless you've got something to really stand out,
it's a bit. So
forced.
I was really not keen on doing anything, to be honest. But then Andy came in with the idea of doing a video where it's like because at zoos they get a lot of prank calls on April Fool's Day, so people like, can I speak to Mr. Sea Lion and stuff like that, and giraffe and all that kind of stuff. So we said it would be funny if we made a video of like, we've prepared for it and we're kind of, the customer service team will not engage with humour at all on that day. They're just going to be completely straight-faced. So we put together a video in like an hour and edit it. Andy edited it and stuff, and that was really good as well. So again, just being a little bit different, I think, is what I like to do the most in my job, really.
Do you think sort of now at the Wildlife Park it gives you a bit of freedom and an advantage with animals, or does it put more pressure on you because it's such a huge company? Yeah,
it's interesting. I think it's a very different challenge, because when you go into somewhere like the Wildlife Park, it's a very established brand for a start, and then also people do just sort of like to see photos of tigers and stuff. Yeah. So for the first sort of couple of months, I was like, what can I add here that's different to what every other zoo is doing in the UK? That's quite a big challenge, really, because, you know, like I say, it can be so tempting to just post. We've got polar bears and stuff, you know, like
everyone would love to see a polar bear like once a week.
Yeah, exactly. You know, so like you could every day just send out a wallaby or whatever. But I've really tried to build a bit of a tone that's, I'm all about, like I just said, being different and trying to, if everyone's doing it, it makes me not want to do it on social media, basically. So I looked at what other people, other companies and other zoos were doing, and it is all basically just that standard promotional stuff of like, here's a nice photo of a lion, come and visit us on Saturday. I've really sort of tried to feel around and find my way around like where the tone's going to be and what's funny, and but it's been great because it's a really difficult challenge at times, because, you know, how are you different if you're running a coffee shop and you're trying to promote your coffee shop? How do you avoid just tweeting about coffee all the time, which is what people think you're going to do? I've loved that challenge of it, but it's quite hard at times, to be fair.
I imagine as well. And there's some people everyone goes to a wildlife park for different reasons and for different animals as well. I think it's interesting for like where your position is, where a lot of it is like imagery and the social side of it, as opposed to more so like SEO. I'm sure you obviously do that as well. But how do you like strategize it? Do you have like plans way in advance, or do you just go into work on a Monday and think, I'm gonna take a picture or do this this week?
See, this is going to be like maybe a little bit controversial in the marketing community, but I'm not that big a believer in plans, really, because nothing that I've achieved that's been the best stuff I've ever done has come from a plan at all. So actually the bin thing, I'd been putting off doing a plan for ages because I didn't know what the hell I was going to do. And then it just like struck me and I thought, that's what I'll do, and I went with it. And it's quite similar to the Wildlife Park. It's different. It's kind of like two strands. So we've got a lot of events and stuff. That's a much more traditional kind of marketing exercise, really. So we'll like have a plan 3 months in advance where by this date we need to have posters designed and it needs to be on Facebook and we need a web page and all that kind of stuff. But my sort of day-to-day social media stuff, I literally will like go in the morning and not know what I'm going to be doing in the afternoon most
Yeah.
days, which is how I prefer it, because I'm a lot better when I can act spontaneously and like just have fun with it. Basically.
Usually the best outcome as well. Yeah,
and also you need to be able to like capitalise on what's going on that day.
Yeah.
So, for example, at the moment, you know, you wouldn't think that Brexit is really like good ground for a wildlife park to be getting involved in.
Yeah.
But I've done a couple of times where I've like traded off of the fact that they've been debating in Parliament for like 6 hours and everyone's tweeting about it. I'll tweet something like, while that's all going on, here's a photo of a polar bear to calm everyone down, and you know,
and it works.
Yeah, it's like let's all just chill out and look at a photo of a lemur and take a deep breath. But if you planned and tried to schedule in tweets and stuff, you're going to miss out on that kind of thing. You know, I love nothing more when I go in and I'll see like it'll get to like 11 o'clock and I'll see something trending and I'll think, what the hell is that? Like hashtag World Egg Day.
Yeah, and you're like,
and
I
I'll just
could do something with that.
Yeah, I need to just go wild on World Egg Day because it sounds really boring.
And there's always a day for something as well.
If every single day.
Google days of the year and there's like 6 to 8 things every single day.
Yeah, it's probably like World Lasagna Day today.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I think if you try and plan too far in advance, you'll miss out on stuff like that because you're not gonna schedule in something for every day, and
you get lost in focusing on the future almost.
Mm.
I think sort of going back, I should have probably asked you this question at the start when we were talking about viral marketing and being creative. We just sort of touched upon it before the podcast started, that I watched someone else's podcast. It was like a video sort of sit down, and they were talking about how they think, to put it politely, going viral is pointless because you don't have your actual customers following you. And I feel like you'd have a good counter or a good response to that argument.
I don't think that's true at all, to be fair, because like at Donny Council, if you only ever spoke to your audience, then that's great and everything, but actually not that many people really engage with that Twitter account because, you know, I lived in Doncaster and I wouldn't follow it because why would I bother? Whereas if you have a success like the gritting thing and it goes viral, that actually does make more of your potential audience seek you out and actually start to follow you. So I don't agree with that at all. Yeah,
there's brands and even like footballers and sports people and everything, and they'll pop up on my Twitter and say something interesting, and I'll be like, oh, I didn't realise I wasn't even following them, and I like them, and I probably would maybe buy from them or be interested in hearing what they're saying.
And particularly for like private sector businesses, I don't get why it would be a disadvantage to just have a bigger audience seeing your stuff, because, you know, like some of the best feedback I've had from people with my stuff at the wildlife park, they're not in the zoo industry. They're not like mums that are looking to bring kids. There'll be people from like, you know, Innocent Smoothies or another company that I respect or something might see it. You know, I've had a couple of people recently. There's a woman who works at ITV. She's like a digital person there, and she's got nothing to do with the wildlife park. But if she's sharing our stuff and saying this is really good, that can't damage us as a business because
she's got all these followers in the local area.
And she's got followers in the creative industry, and she's got national people looking at her, and you know, and I think Innocent are like the company I go back to time and time again because they're, I think, probably still the best at social marketing. They don't only talk to people that like smoothies, do they? They barely ever mention smoothies, and they have stuff that goes viral all the time. That one of the things that is their biggest viral successes, they did dogs at polling stations. Have you ever heard of that hashtag?
I think so.
Every election day, basically, dogs at polling stations trends, and it's just people tie their dogs up while they go and vote. And that was from Innocent. They were like sharing
no relevance,
absolutely nothing to do with them at all. But it makes people think, oh, this is a really cool business. They've got something different to say. So yeah, don't subscribe to that view at all.
Yeah, and I think we touched upon it as well beforehand that it's great for B2B companies if you get a viral tweet or a viral social post, that for social proof, if you've got a future client who's huge, who could be a deal breaker, if they see you doing something right on social media, then it's only going to benefit your company.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you're a marketing agency or a tech firm or something like that, and you only have 20 followers, 50 followers, then they might think, well,
it doesn't really
give
the best image, does it?
Yeah.
If you're trying to tell people how to be successful on social media, and yet you go on your Twitter or your Facebook, and all it is just fairly standard posts about the industry.
Absolutely,
then,
I think we've sort of covered quite a lot in there. I think a nice way to sort of sum it is maybe where you think marketing might be heading, or what do you think is exciting that you could adopt at the zoo with sort of like maybe a wider audience and bigger budget than say your small to medium enterprise?
I think one thing that it kind of concerns me a little bit, and I'm trying to like make sure we don't fall into it. I don't want every company to become like sassy and really stupid and trying to be funny all the time, because there's a balancing act going on at the moment where it's like right on a tipping point where it could get really cringy and a bit crap. Yeah, everyone's like trying too hard to be funny all the time. That's not what it's about for me. So I think we're like really trying to focus on not losing ourselves in the pursuit of like retweets. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of stuff that I'd like to do, that's quite a big question. I'm trying to move a lot more into. I really like trying to break new ground and do stuff that people aren't doing. So I've really pushed the boundaries of what you can do on Instagram stories, which is something I'm really, really proud of that I'm doing at the moment. So every Friday afternoon, it's finished now. I've done season 1. I was doing a weekly soap opera all on Instagram stories where you have to like interact with it and you can affect the story. Yeah. And it's all based around a mongoose that I'm kind of like, everyone's like in his world, everyone's cheating on each other and there's people planning to murder each other. Yeah. It's like a classic American soap opera with mongooses from Yorkshire Wildlife Park. And that's so far away from what I was doing a year ago. Yeah. So far away from what zoos normally do. They kind of take themselves quite seriously. Yeah. And I'm trying to show that we can have a bit of fun. So that's my main aim, really. Is to just keep fun, keep and enjoying it. Yeah, absolutely.
Time and place to be sassy if you're running a competition or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And the odd response to people. Yeah. I like to search for Yorkshire Wildlife Park on Twitter.
Just to see
if people don't mention us, and then if they're slagging us off, I'll like go back to them and say, "What do you mean?" and stuff like that. So
without pushing the boundary too far, absolutely. If anyone wants any more ideas on sort of how to be creative, if you follow the wildlife park, I'm sure you'll get to see the soap opera and anything else that comes along. Yeah. And if you Google the Doncaster Gritters, you'll be able to look at that one as well. Yeah. But we're going to wrap up the main subject and the middle section because we have run a little bit over. Which is good and bad at the same time, I guess. That's okay. We'll just be back in the next moment for a few minutes on a little bit of graduate advice, as always. Thank you. Hi everyone, so just to summarise, we are going to speak a little bit about graduate advice. I'm just going to sort of ask Liam first of all, between education and getting your first role, how did you find the whole experience and what sort of happened?
It is really tough at times because you're kind of... I probably applied for... I got a job at the Home Office in Sheffield to just like temp. So that wasn't in comms. And while I was doing that, I was applying for loads and loads and loads of jobs. I had probably about 7 or 8 interviews, some of which I literally got phoned up and they were like, we were going to give it to you, but there's someone who's 40 that's got more experience. And it is a bit soul destroying because you're like, how can I get the experience if you're not going to give me a chance? But I think it's quite character building at the same time because you have to persevere. Yep. You have to keep going. You have to keep faith in yourself, which I think is really important.
Yeah, I do think you come out stronger on the other side when you've got it. Yeah.
And then when you get the job that you're wanting, it makes it even better because you've maybe been temping, doing stuff you're not enjoying. You appreciate being given the chance, so you really want to prove yourself. Yeah. So I think that does help.
Yeah, I think the recurring theme sort of with other guests as well is that it doesn't have to be overnight, and it probably won't be overnight for most people.
It's probably really rare. Yeah, it is.
And then just finally, how do you think now, looking back on like the last few years, how do you think you would recommend to other people standing out, or how you would have probably changed it to stand out and have that little bit extra?
Yeah, well, one of my main tips really is to try and get work experience for free if you can. Because I think it really does add a lot to your CV. So many people have got degrees nowadays that isn't really enough anymore. So it's not even necessarily like paid work experience or work experience for a company, but if you're blogging or vlogging or you're really like prolific on social media, that almost counts as work experience nowadays. It sounds mad, but if you're, like we were just saying a second ago to each other, if you're really good on Instagram or you use that all the time, if you're applying for a certain job with a company that's really prioritising Instagram, then that's going to set you apart from...
Yeah.
The tables are turning, because, you know, there might be someone who's 40 with more experience who's never really used Instagram before, and yet there's an 18-year-old who's used it for 10 years. You know.
And you can have it doesn't have to be a personal Instagram account. If you have a dog, or if you like the outdoors or anything like that, just absolutely. Start taking pictures.
Your hobbies, if you're vlogging about your hobbies, or you take photography is another really good one, or web building, or whatever it is. I think they're really, really good ways to kind of set yourself apart, because you're building like your own brand almost. That's what a lot of people do nowadays. You go on their Instagram, they've got really like stylish little stories and stuff, and it's like you're branding
all themed,
yourself.
Yeah, it's all similar themed style.
I think
pictures.
that's like the LinkedIn page for young people almost. Is your social media now. So that's probably one of the big things for me.
I think that's a good standpoint to leave it on.
Yeah.
Just sort of touching on the work experience as well. If you aren't sure, I think a good place to start is to ask the university or the careers department. When I was at the University of Sheffield, I did an internship it was only 100 hours, so not particularly long, but they actually paid you £1,000 to do 100 hours of work. It wasn't the company, it was the university. So there are opportunities at the universities to actually do it. It's just, but I think I found out on an email that went to my junk box or something, like exactly. no one on the course even knew about it. But if you speak to the universities or even like local businesses or anything, there will be an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, so I think we'll wrap it up there. Lots of great insights from this episode. Can't thank Liam enough for being a great guest.
Thank you very much.
And I'll see you all soon. Thank you.